Much about the female body is hidden behind a wall of silence and shame that many women would rather not acknowledge. From a young age, we were taught that our own pleasure is something wrong, shameful, or at best a teenage thing. Over time, that idea took root in our minds and hardened into a belief that after a certain age, touching oneself is unacceptable. But this is one of the most dangerous and false stories ever told about the female body, and I am ready to prove it. A study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine examined women over 60 and found that those who practice regular sexual activity, including self-stimulation, show improved natural vaginal lubrication, a lower risk of vaginal atrophy, and fewer problems with insomnia and anxiety disorders. It is important to understand that this is not an ethical issue, but a matter of well-being. I am Dr. Roberto Damasca, specializing in women's health in later life. I help women regain robust health, life energy, and confidence. My approach is not about superficial pleasure or fleeting urges. We're talking about preserving key bodily functions, protecting pelvic health, maintaining mental clarity, balancing hormones, and slowing aging processes that often begin silently in the nervous system. Today, you will discover a truth that has been kept from you until now. A truth that could have been shared years ago, but was hidden out of prejudice, incompetence, and fear. And I am sure that when you grasp the essence of this care, you will realize your life is full of inexhaustible energy, joy, and opportunities just waiting to be lived. Before we begin, tell us your age and the city you're watching from in the comments, so we can know our audience better and create even more relevant content for you. Let's begin. First, self-arousal plays an important role in maintaining vaginal health and preventing atrophy. Many women mistakenly believe that with age the body simply adapts to the absence of sexual activity. Some even think that after 60 or 70 intimacy should fade and the reproductive organs cease to function fully. Yet this belief is one of the main reasons for reduced comfort, pleasure, and overall pelvic health in later life. Stopping self-stimulation leads to significant changes. When the increased inflow of blood to the tissues of the vagina and clitoris stops, the vaginal walls thin and dry. Without regular circulation, they lose elasticity, leading to a condition known as vaginal atrophy. The result is pain during intercourse, difficulty with natural lubrication, increased susceptibility to urinary tract infections, and even a risk of incontinence. The situation is like a garden deprived of watering. Flowers wilt, the soil dries out, and life in that space slowly dies away. On the other hand, when you regularly experience arousal and orgasm, even alone, the body directs an additional flow of oxygen-rich blood to the pelvic area. This blood nourishes tissues, supports natural lubrication, strengthens the vaginal walls, and preserves sensitivity. I have seen this countless times in my practice. Women who came with complaints of pain, dryness, or discomfort began to smile again when they realized their bodies still respond. That pleasure had not vanished. It was enough to bring back, without hurry and without guilt, a habit that medicine already recognizes as a vital part of intimate health. Ignoring this need means giving up not only pleasure, but quality of life. So even if you have no partner or intimacy with your partner is not active, caring for vaginal health is an act of self-care, and mindful masturbation is one of the simplest, most natural, and most effective ways to do it. Number 2, unmindful masturbation can lead to numbness and pain. For many women, the way they stimulate themselves hasn't changed in decades. The same quick motion in the same spot, with the same pressure, often with a single goal. Reaching orgasm as fast as possible may seem harmless, but over time, this mechanical repetition trains the body to respond only to that specific pattern and to ignore other kinds of touch. The problem is that the brain is extremely adaptive. If it always receives the same intense, hurried stimulus, it starts to learn that only this kind of touch can bring pleasure. This is called neurological conditioning. The result is decreased natural sensitivity. You need more force, more speed, or more pressure to feel what once came easily. In the office, I often hear complaints like, I can only feel something with a vibrator on maximum power, or my partner's touch feels too weak. In some cases, a woman even avoids intimacy with her partner because human contact seems too slow compared to the artificial or mechanical stimulation she's used to. This reduced sensitivity can also lead to anorgasmia, difficulty, or inability to reach orgasm. Moreover, when the body does not reach a sufficient level of arousal, natural lubrication doesn't occur properly, making sex painful and increasing the risk of micro-tears and infections. The good news is that this can be changed, but you must change how you touch yourself. Instead of chasing speed and a quick finish, it is important to focus on slower, varied, and mindful touch, concentrating on sensations rather than only the end goal. It's like retraining your palate. You relearn how to sense nuances that were forgotten, turning masturbation into a moment of presence, not just a physical discharge, returns to your body the ability to respond more fully, deeply, and pleasantly, alone and with a partner. Number 3, your hormones are stimulated by sexual activity, even solo. Many believe that after menopause, the hormonal downturn is permanent, inevitable, and completely beyond your control. It's true the body goes through major changes in this period, but few women know that some daily habits can directly influence this balance. And one of them is sexual activity, including self-practice. When you stimulate yourself and reach a higher level of arousal, the body releases a mix of substances that affect not only desire, but also mood, sleep, and even your energy level throughout the day. Oxytocin, the hormone of bonding and well-being, increases. Dopamine, linked with motivation and pleasure, rises. Endorphins, the body's natural painkillers, help reduce pain and lift mood. This chemistry is not just to make you feel more relaxed or energized. It helps regulate cortisol, the stress hormone that in excess promotes weight gain, disrupts sleep, and even weakens immunity. I have often seen patients who came in complaining of constant fatigue, low productivity, and mood swings, and on examination it turned out they had completely distanced themselves from their sexuality. By reintroducing this practice mindfully and without rush, many reported better sleep, more energy, and even clearer thinking. Your body responds to what you stimulate. If intimate life disappears, the brain decides there's no need to produce certain substances in higher amounts. But when you reconnect with this process, even individually, you send a clear signal to your body, I still need this. And the body responds by releasing hormones that benefit not only your sexual life, but your overall health. That is why mindful sexual activity should be seen as part of your self-care routine, just like proper nutrition or exercise. It is not a luxury, but a direct investment in your life force. Number 4, shame about your own touch harms your mental health. Of all the obstacles that keep women in later life from freely expressing their sexuality, shame is perhaps the most insidious and destructive. Its roots reach back to childhood or adolescence, when conversations about one's own pleasure were taboo, mocked, or deemed indecent. Messages repeated across a lifetime can become so ingrained that their influence remains decades later, shaping the way a woman sees her body and deciding what she considers acceptable for herself. In the office, I often hear, "That's not for me," or "I feel uncomfortable doing that." Behind such words lies a deep emotional imprint that breeds guilt and blocks action, even when the desire is there. The awkwardness around one's sexuality is not limited to emotional discomfort. It affects the whole body, causing muscle tension, elevating cortisol, and in many cases making relaxation and pleasure more difficult. Chronic hyperarousal disrupts sleep, intensifies anxiety, contributes to depression, and negatively affects immunity. Fortunately, this cycle can be broken. I have seen women who, after a long period without intimate contact with themselves, gradually began to touch themselves with love and without a hurried goal, simply to feel connected to their bodies again. They gradually notice positive changes not only in the intimate sphere, but in many others: well-being, emotional state, even posture. Letting go of shame does not mean ignoring your values or crossing personal boundaries. It means recognizing that your body is still under your care. Tending to it, including your sexuality, is an act of self-care, not self-blame. It is a conscious decision aimed at improving your well-being that directly affects your quality of life. Fifth, pornography affects your brain, but you can restore balance. Many women believe pornography doesn't concern them, especially after 60. Yet with the growth of the internet and easy access to videos and extreme content, more women are using this kind of stimulation. The reasons vary, from curiosity and loneliness to an attempt to rekindle dimmed sensations. The difficulty is that our brain does not always distinguish well between real and artificial stimuli. Modern pornography, with its fast pace and extreme scenes, provokes a sharp, strong surge of dopamine, the neurotransmitter of pleasure and reward. Over time, such excess dopamine can reduce sensitivity, creating a need to seek more provocative and unusual stimuli to reach the previous level of arousal. This tendency can distance a person from reality and its natural experiences. Subtle touch, intimate contact, and even imagination may feel insufficient for some women. They find that orgasm comes only when viewing erotic content, while physical intimacy with a partner or self-stimulation without visual input becomes less satisfying. This does not mean irreversible brain damage. Neuroscience shows this adaptation can be changed. Start with a detox period. Step away from such content to give neural pathways time to recover and rebalance. In this time, focus on more natural stimuli. Immerse yourself in the sensations of your own body. Cultivate imagination, attend to feelings, and vary your tactile experiences. Returning to real, mindful stimuli restores physical sensitivity and enriches the emotional connection with joy. It is a gradual return to a natural state where autonomy and freedom again come first. A full experience without reliance on artificial means that could limit your intimate life later. Sixth rule, pelvic floor function follows the use it or lose it principle. The pelvic floor is a complex system of muscles, nerves, and vessels supporting vital organs such as the bladder, uterus, and intestines. These muscles also perform key functions, including urinary control, sexual response, and maintaining proper posture. Like other muscles, without regular active load, they weaken and lose effectiveness. In practice, this means that a long absence of sexual arousal, orgasms, or targeted exercises for this area leads to loss of vaginal tissue elasticity and poorer circulation. Sensitivity declines with age, and the pelvic floor muscles lose strength. This increases the likelihood of urinary incontinence, prolapse, descent, or displacement of organs, which may show up during intimacy and can even make orgasm harder to achieve. I have seen women who, after a long period without sexual activity, alone or with a partner, found that even when they wished to resume intimacy, their bodies no longer responded the way they used to. It wasn't just about desire, but about real physical and neurological changes caused by non-use. Fortunately, this loss can be compensated. Regular sexual arousal, even through mindful masturbation, stimulates muscle contractions, improves blood flow, and keeps the nervous system engaged. Exercises, such as Kegels, can also be valuable, strengthening the pelvic floor and protecting against problems with continence and sensitivity. Staying active in this area not only improves quality of life, but is a key factor in overall health, affecting mobility, posture, and self-esteem. The body responds to our signals. If we show that a function matters, it will devote more attention to it and work to preserve it. Seventh, and perhaps the most dangerous, mistake is isolation. Of all the factors that harm the intimate and emotional well-being of women in later life, isolation is the most dangerous and insidious. This is not only about being alone or having few social ties. It is something deeper. Loss of physical contact with others and with one's own body causes real harm. The human organism is programmed to respond to touch. Even at 60 to 80, our skin can still perceive the world through sensory receptors that send signals to the brain, stimulating the release of important hormones such as oxytocin, which underlies feelings of happiness and closeness. When that stimulus ends, the body switches to self-preservation mode. It reduces production of these hormones, raises cortisol, and triggers changes in mood, sleep, and immune function. I have met women who for months or even years went without gentle touch, hugs, and intimacy. Over time, they described not only sharper feelings of loneliness, but also reduced motivation for usual activities, problems with focus, and physical complaints such as aches and constant fatigue. The absence of physical closeness and emotional connection can lead to alienation from one's own body. If a woman stops touching herself, not only for pleasure, but to sense her body and presence in it, her brain begins to treat this as the loss of an important function. Sensitivity wanes, and the desire for contact with the body weakens. Fortunately, this cycle can be broken, starting with small steps. Schedule time for self-care, attend to touch mindfully, invest in massage, hugs, and any other physical contact that brings well-being and joy. This approach tells your body, I haven't forgotten you. I want to keep feeling the world. Isolation is not merely an emotional problem. It negatively affects physical health, brain function, and even longevity. Fighting it is an act of self-care and a vital step toward a longer, better life. If you have read this chapter to the end, you have surely realized we are speaking about far more than fleeting pleasure. We are talking about well-being, spirit, and emotional balance. This discussion has shown that maintaining sexual activity, even alone, can be a key factor in preserving vaginal health and preventing atrophy, and in preserving sensitivity. By avoiding mechanical masturbation, you can foster a hormonal balance that benefits mood and energy. This approach also helps dissolve the shame that blocks pleasure, regain control over porn consumption, keep the pelvic floor active, and, most importantly, break out of the vicious circle of isolation. All these aspects are pieces of a single puzzle, your field of life energy. Neglecting any piece can lead to physical troubles, emotional burnout, and estrangement from your true self. Contrary to common belief, there is no age limit for feeling pleasure, caring for your intimate health, and living an active, self-aware life. It is scientifically proven that the body responds to positive stimuli at any stage of life. When you give time and attention to yourself, you send a powerful signal to your organism. I am here, I have value, and I'm striving to live fully. By repeating this simple ritual regularly, you can influence your aging process. Now I ask an important favor. Share this video with at least one woman you love who needs this message. It may be a close friend, a sister, a neighbor, or someone who suffers in silence. By doing so, you are not merely passing on information. You can become a guide for that woman back to health, confidence, and the return of lost pleasure. A small effort that can change a life.